Hey everybody, welcome back to Black Girl This, Black Woman That. I am Bernie.
And I'm Aliyah Simone.
And this is an A and B conversation. It's been a while.
It has. It's been a while.
How you doing?
Good.
You want to share some stuff that you've been hearing since the airing of the first episode?
I've been hearing, nothing but good things. I am very appreciative of everyone, sharing. As I shared before, I've always been afraid of my voice. So having people, reach out and say, girl, you belong on the mic. You have a voice for this. Your story is, impactful. Or people just sharing how certain things that we have said has, brought into alignment, things that they're dealing with. Mm-hmm. That has just been, pushing me to just keep going and understanding that it's all for a reason and it's a good reason. So,
Love it. Same. But what's funny is how people will come up to me like, you and Aliyah, like they know you. I'm like, so Aliyah? Well, she's on the Aliyah, the podcast. I'm like, yeah. But I think it's super dope that, one, again, you're telling your story, but like it creates a connection with people and it makes them okay with their story too, so that they can tell it as well.
And it reminds people that everybody has a story. Everybody's story is different.
Yeah.
But we all have a story.
Yes. And God is doing his thing. And I appreciate that. I was thinking the other day, actually reading, and for some reason, God has me constantly gleaning and going back to the book of Corinthians. And Paul is someone that I am finding myself connecting with in terms of like being more bold for Christ, stepping out on faith. And one thing that really resonated with me was his letter from the prison. And a lot of times where we find ourselves in like dark spaces, it's a little hard for us to just like reach out and be encouraging to other people. But Paul's time in the prison, he was still able to do that. If there was one person from the Bible that you are able to connect with, who would it be?
Right now, I feel like I'm resonating a lot with Hannah, identifying a lot with her story. Hannah went through a lot during a time when everyone around her was having children, and having children at this specific time was probably like viewed as the highest value of a woman, if that makes sense. And everyone around her was able to produce, and she wasn't. Yeah. So right now, I feel like I've been in that season where I want to give birth to something, not necessarily a child, but I want to give birth to something, and I'm understanding that through the birthing, there are going to be things that come along, but eventually you will give birth to something that will be able to speak for itself.
Yes.
And we see that with Samuel. She went through a lot to get to the point where she was able to conceive and then birth Samuel. But once Samuel became a thing and he was birthed, he spoke for himself. So everything she went through while trying to conceive him, she didn't really have to go into details because the proof is in the evidence.
Yay.
Samuel,
Come on here.
And I love Hannah because, while people were taunting and saying things about her and like trying to like poke at her and get her to act and retaliate, she was very quiet. She responded in grace.
Yes.
She was, she suffered, but she was a woman of grace. That's the best way to put it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that. Yes, Hannah. Okay.
I like Hannah.
So with that, I felt like for Hannah, that was her hard truth that she had to deal with before getting to her promise of actually having a child, Samuel, right? What would you consider your hard truth during this season to be? Something that you have to accept it for what it is?
I would say being okay with the fact that people are not going to apologize.
Ooh,
and that is something that I have had to sit with and just finally accept that it happened, all of that happened, but people are not going to apologize. So it's no need to keep sitting in that place waiting for something that it's not going to come.
Yeah.
Like my pastor preached about, she referenced Paul on Sunday, and she talked about like, Paul ain't coming back. Like, he ain't coming back to give you an apology. He ain't coming back to fix his issue. He ain't coming back. So you might as well just get up and carry on.
Yeah.
Like, use whatever happened and use it as a way to, keep building that story.
Yep.
And understanding from a different perspective that it's all a part of it for a better purpose. But it's no need to sit around waiting for an apology that's not coming.
Yeah.
Because you're going to keep digging yourself into a mental prison or, you know, a dark space.
Yeah.
Like, just get up from there.
You just said something to me. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I needed that. One hard truth for me, I would say, is being okay with not everyone being okay with who I am now. So often we are connected to people for years, and so they get to see how we are transforming year by year, time by time. And sometimes people find comfort in the old us. And so it's hard for them to let go of the old us and embrace the new us. And for me, I'm learning, and it's a hard truth, that it's okay. We want people to continue to love us, right? Especially when we are flourishing and when we are becoming better, because it's like, why not want my better self? But I'm okay with people not accepting that I am no longer in that space anymore. And here I am now, bigger and better. So that's been something that I've been hit with and have to accept, that it's a hard truth.
Yeah, I can agree with that as well. Accepting the fact that people won't like the new you, best way to put it, and understanding that it's okay. Like, everybody has a version of you that they love more, and some people love the insecure version more. Some people like the the rowdy version of you, and then some people don't like the new you where you're able to breathe better and live better and heal. Some people don't. But like you said, it's like, wouldn't you like me better at my best self? But it's like, no, I don't. Yeah. Because then that also will force them to face their issues. Yeah. And people don't like that.
People don't like that at all. Sitting in self and really reflecting. And I'm isolation and solitude. Sitting in that solitude and really reflecting to be better. Not a lot of people are able to do that, because in order to get to that space, you have to take the ugly for what it is and fix it. And then there's also, I think about, maybe they don't know what to do with my better. Maybe my better doesn't need them the way my not so good needed them. And so I guess that's where God is like working on it. It's like, no, like grace, you know? So I think that's something that I've been kind of dealing with as well. Okay, and so that's when we're dealing with people. People are struggling to just like embrace us in our newness, and or not really know how to approach it. I think a lot of times people don't know how to approach it and meet us where we are too. Because it's like, okay, back then it was like, we were at the same place, and maybe they are at the same place where they are, or where we first met. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and then some people just also struggle with having to unlearn to relearn. Yeah, that's another thing too. That's a process of itself. Some people probably feel like, I don't want to do that. Yeah, well, I don't want to deconstruct anything. You know,
because it takes work.
Yeah, it
takes work. And someone asked me the question: if your ex-husband were to do the work on himself, would you remarry him? And my answer would be, well, I would have to hear from God and all his angels to really like go back down that path, because in full transparency, what it is I've done the work on myself. And so for me to be with someone, and this can be in romantic relationships, friendships, if I'm doing the work on myself and I see that the next person isn't, I'm doing more harm
to yourself,
to myself than good, because it's like you've done all this work for you to be stagnant and to have to like still endure the same stuff. That wouldn't make sense.
No.
What has been the most difficult thing for you to deal with or for you to accept in your new walk with Christ personally?
That's a good question. I would say surrendering control.
Ooh, baby.
Even though we know God is the greatest power, sometimes as humans, we want to be in control of everything. Yeah. We want to say how it should go, how it should look. And I had to come to a point, I feel like God literally sat me down to remind me, like, he's in control, not me. Yeah. So yeah, that's one thing I definitely would say I had to come to terms with, like surrendering the idea of trying to be in control.
Do you think that comes from a place of you being a perfectionist because you low-key
Yes.
are?
And
No, high key.
wanted
You're high
to wanted to stick to deadlines
Yeah.
and having to understand that it's not going to always happen at that time in that same way just because it did before. So yeah.
Yeah. And that's a big one because it would be natural for you to be like, okay, no, let's fix this. No, this is the time that we have to do it. It needs to get done because if we don't meet this deadline, then that means the next one isn't going to be met.
Delayed. Yep.
Exactly. That's a really good one. And control is big. But do you think it comes from another place? Like, why did you feel the need to not necessarily be controlling, but to be very adamant with like,
I think for me, it comes from a place of being disappointed. So in my mind, if I know I'm in control and I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it the way it's supposed to be done. So there will be no room for me to be disappointed. And if it doesn't work, then I can only be disappointed with myself. And then that's something that no one else has to witness. That's private disappointment.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So I think it goes back to expectations too. Like you not having, or you feeling like you're not able to have expectations on people because they're not going to live up to the high expectation that unset expectations is real. And
I don't talk about that enough.
So what does your process look now so that you're not setting these unsaid expectations are very dangerous. One, because you're not giving people chances. And this is not specifically to you, but...
And you're comparing past to present.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a lack of grace as well, because what one person has done may not be the same for the next person. Unset expectations is something that I struggle with as well, because same, like, I feel like you're not going to meet my standard of the way I want something done. But I'm learning to just like let it be, but also give myself that cushion time to just like fix it just in case.
Yeah, I would say the same.
Yeah, that's good. For me, I would say realizing that my justifications aren't always in alignment with God's way of doing things. So while I feel like I may be right in a situation, yeah, I may be right to burn his head. And the truth of the matter is I am right, but the way I may have responded, the way I may have reacted wasn't in alignment with God. And I think, too, behind that, you have, like, when we're talking about relationships and we're talking about, like, connecting with other people, reconciliation and moving on and how those things can look different when you're in alignment with God. Does that make sense? So for you, how would you're talking to someone, because there are a lot of people out there who struggle with control, even if it's minute or if it's like on a major scale. Walk us through how you are now processing where so it's like, God, you're in control. I know you got this. Like, what does I don't want to say conversation, but what does your trust look like now? Like, how is that being played out?
It's simple. I just take my hands off. Literally, I know what it feels like to be in control, and I know what it feels like to not be in control, and I enjoy not being in control.
Yeah.
I like the benefits of what it feels like when you're not in control, like understanding that there is somebody bigger than you that can handle this, if that makes sense.
Who's the
and
bigger
I like
person?
God.
Yeah,
and I love that because it's like, I'm like, it honestly feels like you're just resting in him. So it's like, you know what, you got
I love
this.
That.
I enjoy that. So now I'm like, when I'm in control, I'm driving myself crazy. I'm dysfunctional. I'm all over the place. I don't want to be in that space. You know what? You got this one.
God, you got this.
I'm like, I'm taking my hands off. I don't want to look. I don't want to even touch anything. You got it.
Yep.
Like, do what you got to do. Do your big one. You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. I had put a post up and I was saying, like, God, you know the old saying when people be like, oh, God wouldn't give us more than we can
I can't
handle.
stand that.
It's like, it's not true.
It's not.
Like, it is not true at all. And in the post, I was saying, like, God will definitely give us more than we can handle so that we can give it over to him and let him work. Right. But that's what it is. And so somebody responded to it and wrote me in a message and was like, girl, I needed this. And we started talking and she was just like, it confirmed her taking her hands off and giving it over to God. Like, it's going to be good there. When you have given it over to God, me controlling it on my own, God always outweighs.
And I feel like he gives you the more to prove to you. Like you said that, oh, you still think you got this? You still think you can do this? Oh, okay, exactly. Let me do my job.
Exactly.
I told you, I got you. And so I feel like he does that on purpose.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
It's intentional, it's strategic to tell you, like, nobody told you could do it anyway.
Yeah,
like,
and then when we're trying to think about it, like, how did this happen? You can't formulate the words because it's beyond our understanding.
Right.
Because he handled it. God was in control with it.
Exactly.
So yes.
And it's not to say that you can't handle something or you're weak or it's not to say that you're not capable. It's just to say, like, this specific thing is not for you to handle.
Yeah.
And you have to be okay with that.
Yeah. And then in those moments when we're forced or when we're having to give it over to God, it's to mature us for the next thing that's to come. So these situations that we're able to handle, like, we've been through things, and so God knew what he placed in us prior to, so that we can deal with those things because still what he put in us. And so when he's given us bigger things, kind of what you said in one of the past episodes in regards to the process and making sure we're equipped to handle what needs to be done. And that's what it is. Like, take your hands off of it so he can do what he do. He can equip you. He can get ready. You can do what needs to be done. And that's another one. That's another victory. Literally another victory. So there's a huge advantage when we are taking our hands off of situations and allowing God to just show up and to work and do what he does, even within us and through us. However, there is a reality versus perception situation that happens too, because a lot of times people think they see us where we are, but they don't really understand all that we had to go through to get to that point. And so that's a perception of it. So if you can speak on your reality versus perception during your journey, what would it be?
Honestly, through my journey, I think people have perceived that I am a girl who, has moved from one place to a next. And I think that I'm that girl, that I am not approachable, that you can't talk to me because, I think I'm better. The reality is I'm confused why I even had to go through a transition anyway. The reality is I'm confused why I had to go through a season of loss anyway. So I think a lot of it is people go off of what they think it is without asking questions and realizing that behind all of that, the reality is I am not anymore, but was in a dark place,
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we've been getting really good feedback, a lot of encouragement. So I want to take this episode and kind of reflect back and just process everything. I think it's good to be able to reflect and to compare and be like, wow, God brought me from a mighty long way. Because I know for me, when I was watching the podcast, I was like, Bernadette, did you say what? But then it will also be things that people pointed out and was just like, that was so good. And a lot of things that you have mentioned, people resonated with and was just like, that's so good. What was your reactions watching the videos?
My reaction first was, ew, why do I sound like that? I'm not gonna lie. But honestly, when I watched the episodes, I was kind of like, ooh, I need to kind of like relearn this girl. I'm like, who is she? I love her, but I'm like, ooh, I didn't know I had that in me, if that makes sense. And I think watching it just gave me a opportunity to see like my own growth.
Yes.
The way I'm able to articulate my words now. I think in the past, it's not that I didn't know how to speak. Sometimes I just didn't speak from a good place. So seeing the difference between somebody who spoke bitterly and someone who now is speaking from a place of healing, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. That's so good.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. When I'm rewatching the episodes, and I would say the same thing. And I told you this, like when we first started this journey, and we had our initial conversation, I was like, I love this because you are speaking of a place, you're speaking from a place of healing, and it's an ongoing thing. And another thing too was, I sent some of the things that you were saying, like some clips. I sent them to you, and I was like, "Girl, encourage yourself." Like, encourage yourself.
Yeah, I think one clip you sent me, I was like, "Oh, I needed that in that moment."
Yeah, it was a lot of good stuff, and a lot of things I use too as like the quotes on social media, because it was a lot that can help other people. But in the midst of me looking at the clips and pulling the quotes, I was being helped. Literally, I was being helped. You know that song, Encourage Yourself? Funny story. I gave my life to Christ.
I was about to say, you sure did. You mentioned that on episode 1. Oh. Sing, Miss Tisha.
Yes. So do you, or have you taken the time out, like after the episodes has been out, to just taking the time out to reflect and be like, God, like, you did that?
I do it usually after I watch each episode. I watch it and I try to watch it from a place of not critiquing myself, but what can I take from it myself? And I was like, ooh, you brought me a mighty long way. Because wow, just looking at it, I'm just in awe of my own growth.
Yes.
And I think that's okay, because I think in the past I was always afraid to also applaud myself. Like, people thought, oh yeah, you have good self-esteem. And I did. But at the same time, I was like, I don't want to applaud myself too much because I don't want to seem cocky.
Yeah.
But now I'm in a space where I'm like, yeah, girl, clock it.
Yes.
Like, you are powerful. You are valuable. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
You said, and I'm okay with that. Like, I'm applauding myself.
Yeah.
So that when other people do it, I'm not like cringing. Like, oh my God, stop.
It's
I don't like the attention.
Yeah.
Now it's like, I already gave that to myself before. So now I'm like, thank you. You're just reminding me of something I already know.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes. And it just speaks to like what we had mentioned before, like, I am not forgotten. And so I'm going to say thank you. I'm going to say glory to God. I'm going to give God all the praises because he did that. And he did it through me. And so, no, I am not forgotten. And I think from episode 1 to episode 5, that has been the thing. Like,
I'm like, yeah, so you did take something that was rocky and you're making something really beautiful out of it. And I like
and
that.
It's real and it's in your face. So if you ever forget it, just go back. You have a whole season.
I got a whole manual. I got a whole script.
Just go back and just rewatch. I love that.
Yeah.
Any cringing moments?
A lot of cringing moments. But like I said, I try my best not to critique and be like, ooh, why did I do that?
Yeah.
But definitely some cringing moments. Especially some of the questions that I had to answer. I was like, ooh,
yeah,
did I say that? How is that going to be, perceived? How are people going to, but learning to be okay with that. It's my story and I got to own my truth one way or another. So I can't be concerned.
Yeah.
I
love that. What about confirmation?
Confirmation. Well, I mean, like I said, when you asked me to be here, that was confirmation, especially knowing like the space I was in, the things I was dealing with. But also, it was like God was honoring my own request. My own private request. Like I was asking him for a space. I've been asking him like, what are you going to do with this? So this is kind of like my confirmation that even though you were in a dark space, even though you were going through challenges, I promised you that I would do something with it. I'm not going to let you just suffer and go through all of that for nothing. So this is like confirmation that even though this is not the end, it's the beginning, but he is going to do something with everything I went through. And I'm okay with that. I'm happy.
Yes. That has been a thing for me too. Even when I hit like hurdles every now and then, or come into just like halts, and it's just like a little difficult to get past, but it's like, no, you're going to get past that because, that's what he promises. Transparency has always been a little difficult for me.
Me too.
So coming forth and actually doing this podcast, I was just like, all right, Jesus. And it's been difficult for me because I don't have an in-between. It's either I'm not going to be transparent or I am going to be transparent. And when I'm transparent, right through, see through. It's like clear as day. And so I never wanted to say something and in full transparency and honesty and someone take that and it was just like, start placing judgment. But I'm like, listen.
I think that was my biggest fear too, coming into it. Like, oh my God, I'm about to be behind a mic on a camera, telling my story, talking about it. I don't want people doing like they did to poor Marvin Sapp and taking clips and pieces and then making a story out of it when it's like, that's not even what happened. It's not what I said. Because like you said, it's either I'm going to be transparent or I'm not. There's no in between. There's no halfway. And once I'm there, I'm there.
Yeah.
And I can't take back what I already put out.
Exactly.
So being okay with that.
Yeah. I got to a point where I was just like, it is what it is.
It is what it is, yeah.
That's it. And I can't, it's my truth and my truth only.
Stand your own business.
That's it. 10 toes down.
Yeah.
Nice. What about when you're watching the episodes, do you talk back to them?
I definitely like clock it. Ooh, yes. So here's my thing. I try my best when I listen to it to not be distracted, but at the same time, not focus on who's speaking.
Okay.
Because I'm in a space where I'm trying to get myself to understand you can also learn from yourself. And like I said, my biggest thing was, Aliyah, just listen.
Yeah.
To learn something, not critique.
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter if your eyebrows wasn't straight. Like, honestly, because that's a big thing with me. Like, ugh. So I became comfortable watching myself.
Nice.
Like, sometimes even with pictures, I love taking pictures, but I don't like looking at myself in the picture. I like talking, but I don't like listening to myself talk back after. So becoming comfortable in that.
Yeah. And you have a whole lot to say.
Clearly. And I'm like, okay, God, that one too, bet.
Right, exactly. That's so good. I was watching this with my entire team and they decided to like pull it up. I'm like, y'all really, they put it up on a, sorry, Corey, I moved the mic. They decided, I watched the podcast with my team. They decided to pull it up on our smart board.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, really?
Yeah. That's how I feel when I walk into my mom's house and it's on the TV. I'm like,
Or like when I sent it to teachers and they'll just like start watching it in front of me. I'm like, really? Yeah, no, we're not doing that. But I think another squirmy piece for me was allowing folks to see that softness in me. And two, not a lot of people know where I come from. I'm very, unless you're, like I said before, unless you're in my space, then you would know. But if not, if you feel like you can't approach me, then it would never be told to you. But this platform has allowed me to be okay with my story. It hasn't always been glamorous or it hasn't always been pretty. But like you said before, it's my story. And they get that. So it was a little squishy for me because my team, they're like, I mentor them throughout the year. And so they would come up to me like, wow.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you wouldn't have been able to tell. I'm like, yeah. So I think it changed some perceptions too. Would you, here we back after.
I was about to say, we just gonna end up back here? Okay, fine.
Do you think it shifts some perceptions?
I definitely
and even
think
within yourself.
Yeah, I definitely think it shifts some perceptions. Not to call names, but there are people that have reached out that were like, wow, I didn't even know that. There have been people, and that's the thing with God. Like sometimes he will create a space for you to be yourself. And through that, he will create a space, and through that, he will fix those, I guess, those false narratives.
We're done. We're good. Like
he'll fix it. So it was like proof to me that God is like, don't worry about what people are saying, what they think they know, because I'll fix that. You focus. And I'm not going to lie. The space I've been in, I've been wanting to do a lot of correcting. And I had to just there goes that control. Yes. I had to just take my hands off and allow God to do the correcting and let him do the work to unravel what people think they know that they don't know.
Yes.
So people have reached out like, I had no idea. And I'm like, it's okay. Now that you know, you don't have to feel bad for me.
Yes, ma'am.
Take something from it. Word of advice. Now, here you go. If you have the same issue, now you know. And there are people reaching out like, I'm in that space. And I appreciate the fact that you articulated what I've been feeling, but I don't know how to say. Yes. And that means the world to me. Because again, that confirms like, I didn't go through all this for no reason.
Yeah, same. Coming into this, and I shared this with you, I'm like, my thing, what I want to be taken away from this is the message of hope. Like, no matter how many seasons I have, no matter how many people I have up here that I'm talking to, no matter how many conversations I'm having, at the end of the day, I just want it to be hope. And that's hope in relationships. That's hope in Christ first. And then it's like hope in relationships. It's hope in like things that you felt will never come back together, but it's coming back together. So like at the end of the day, like that's what it was. And I'm so grateful because that's exactly what God is doing.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this is just the first one, the first set. It's like, okay, imagine a year from now what it'll be like. So
speak to me.
You play too much.
Yeah. So, and coming into, I was a little shaky because again, being transparent and vulnerable was
It's one thing to do it privately, but when here comes the public, it's like, bam.
Yeah.
Then you got people that might not interact, but they watching.
They watching, baby. These are up there.
Okay, they watching. They might not click a thing, but it's okay. We see you. We know you there.
We thank you for the
Glory
support.
be to God. We thank you for the view. We know there's something for you here too.
Yes. Well, what are you most proud of? And we're going to give Aliyah a minute to think about this because I have not asked her this. And I want her to think about a question. I want her to think about this question and answer with an answer that you have not given. So what is one thing that you're proud of?
I am most proud of that I have not said already. Here's what Corey will just drop a timer. Tick, 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 tick. I guess I'm most proud of me being 100% honest.
Oh, yeah.
With myself, but also about what I've dealt with and the space I've been in, the space I am currently still in. Being honest, because sometimes you want to put on a mask and be like, yeah, everything is well. And then it's like, everything is not well. Yeah. So being okay to be honest about the fact that there was a point when I was not well. Yeah. There was a part of my life when I was not doing good. I was not in a good space. Yeah. And being able to honestly say that, especially coming from a person who always said they were great. So now it's like letting people know, I was lying. I guess you can consider me a liar now. Yeah. So I'm proud of that. I'm very proud. But I'm also proud of, I guess, my response. And I know that's why like God is like really honoring me and, giving me opportunities and like opening doors that I never even asked for because of the way I responded. Old Aliyah, I got every argument I'm invited to, I'm attending and I'm coming VIP and I will pay extra money to get in the door. Like seriously, I'm showing up, like not representing Christ, not giving, I'm a disciple, but now I feel like I'm very proud of how I responded to all the naysayers, to all the false narratives. Yeah. I've been, responding in grace. And that's why it's like, it might seem like, all eyes is on me. She's the problem. She's the villain. She's that. But it's like, now God is like, I told you I was going to fix that. Just let me handle it. You just do your part and respond. You can't control how they react and all that. You're only responsible for how you respond. And I've been very quiet. Yeah. Like Hannah, I've quietly endured.
Okay, Hannah.
Okay, I'm done.
You channeled that, Hannah.
I love me some Hannah, okay?
Yes. And just going back to you being completely transparent with sharing your story, that's difficult for people. It's either not technically lying, but like they'll edit what they're sharing.
I like that. They'll revise it.
They'll revise because I'll skip out on. I'll
purposely jump over, and then sometimes you'll be like, "Let's speak to that." I'm like, "Yeah, I was trying not to talk about that." Okay.
But yeah, so I'm pretty sure, and I know for a fact that I encourage others to do the same because there's freedom in just letting it go and giving it over to God. There's so much freedom in that because then you're not bound by shame. You're not bound by guilt. You're no longer bound by like not having a peace of mind. And so we give God the glory for that.
There is no bondage here.
Yes. There's no bondage.
There's no bondage here. There's freedom in this.
Yeah. So that's so good. I don't have anything else.
What is something that you're most proud of that you have not mentioned? Yeah.
Okay, funny story. Someone asked me, Bernadette, why won't you do, because no one knows where this come from. So someone said, Bernadette, why won't you just do something introducing or like reintroducing, letting us in on the process on how you got here, like a full story, full background. And in full transparency, I don't like to be questioned. I'm working on that. I don't like to be questioned. So someone will have to ask me questions and I will have to answer them. And so that's a squishy thing for me. It's not that I don't like it. It's squishy for me because, again, there's no in between. Yeah, there's no in between for me. I'm either going all in or I'm not in at all. And so, so I just wanted to give that little background. But for me, I think I'm just most proud of like actually taking a step to do it. God is like, I've given it to you. You got it. Go.
It's your job to grow it.
Exactly. So actually, I think that's what I'm most proud of. And not really leaning towards, like you said, the naysayers and the people who may not have nice things to say or just want to give their unsolicited feedback that I didn't ask for.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you can't give me feedback when you only watch episode 3.
Yeah.
Like, go watch them all.
Yeah, you got to watch all of them. I need proof.
Yeah.
Comment, like, share. So, yeah. So I think for me, it would be that. This is still very squishy for me. No matter how I appear on the camera, I'm just like, in my head, I'm asking you questions, but I'm also asking myself, is that too much for her? Will she be able to answer that? Should I have given her more time? So those are the thoughts that I'm having literally while we're in the moment and we're talking. But yeah, for you, in your head.
Oh, God. Okay, just gonna keep playing this game.
Yeah.
For me, thoughts in my head, definitely have been hearing like, all right, you saying too much. Don't say that. Cut back. You don't want people to think that you're coming for anybody. And I'm just like, yeah, no, this is the time to do all of that, you know? So defeating those thoughts.
Defeating those thoughts.
Yeah, defeating those thoughts.
That's good. Yeah. And then just doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've also had thoughts like, okay, if you say that one word, then that means you're going to have to go all the way because you can't just throw out that one word and not explain it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those thoughts like, do I want to go there or I want to just be cute and keep it modest?
Yes.
And just be like, yes, ma'am. Or do I really want to be like, so let me tell you what really happened, you know?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because that's real, like in the moment.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the first episode not too long ago, and you can literally see what I'm thinking. And I was like, Brenda's like, you got to change that.
I think also for me, I keep telling myself, like, enough of trying to, I guess, and this goes back to what we were talking about earlier, enough of trying to, I guess, be so worried about people. Like, the people who have done what they have done, you know, they're a part of the story too, and we give God praise for them.
Amen.
But understanding, like, they didn't think about how it was going to make you feel when they did it. So therefore, don't try to control how you respond to it. I don't need to protect people. It's my story.
Right.
So I don't need to protect how people are going to feel or what they're going to think. I really don't care anymore.
Yeah.
It's me and I'm standing in it.
Yes. I love that. We cannot protect people in our story.
Yeah, no.
No.
You didn't think about how it was going to affect me, so why would I care now? I'm healing out loud.
We're done.
Yeah, let's go.
Healing out loud. Yes. And I love it. Okay. How long was that?